bury me. I'm one West till they bury me. I'm one West till they bury me. I be one West to the death till they bury me. One West till they bury me. I'm one West till they bury me. I'm one West till they bury me. I be one West to the death till they bury me. I be one West to the death till they bury me. They ain't scaring me. Rip the soul out of Pharisee. Speaking heresy, it get you fucked up apparently. It's like they daring me. I said chill, they ain't hearing me. They ain't listening. Every bar nitroglycerin. Hit your heart, bring it back to start, make you live again. Get them dividends or we start getting ignorant. I be on that soldier shit. I told you shit phenomenal. Nah, but he a domino. So what you suckers trying to do? Rhyming comical, guess it's funny until I'm bombing you. Bring apocalypse to them pussy niggas that's popping shit. Team of all-stars, I coach them up like I'm Popovich. Fuck the politics and the lobbyists and apologists. They vagina, so we go check them like gynecologists. It's kinda obvious how the situation is ominous. The way I vomit this and regurgitate for the audience. They start applauding this cause the competition is fraudulent. From the era where niggas smoke you up like a parliament. The flow been stupid, shit has gotten retarded since. All the dominance of one West rising to prominence. Cause I be one West to the death till they bury me. I'm one West till they bury me. I be one West to the death till they bury me. I'm one West till they bury me. I be one West to the death till they bury me. I'm one West till they bury me. I be one West to the death till they bury me. I'm one West till they bury me. They want a nigga quiet, mute my maneuvers, but I ride like I got Groupons for Uber. Rhymes hard like they been viewed by Medusa. 9 milli Luger, 17 in the Ruger. Only need a few to sit up in your medulla. Obligata for the regatta, niggas wildin', they win every dollar. They riding by in black Impalas, let the semi holler. The showstopper, been as proper since the teeny bopper. But now I'm growing them off Patron, a premium of vodka. I put extensions on the Glock, modify the chopper. The swore heavy, war ready, and that's worth the mama. No marijuana, say I got the loudest silence on it. When I'm up on it, ain't no rapper do it like I do it. A lot of spitties and writers, but when the heat's on, none of them can get to the fire. Around with me, and I had them niggas spin like a tire. But down the D, and I'm still dope as a piper. Every bar burn hard like a spoon with a lighter. Fuel to igniter, I'm winning, coming through with the title because UP. I be one West to the death till they bury me. I'm one West till they bury me. I be one West to the death till they bury me. I'm one West till they bury me. I be one West to the death till they bury me. I'm one West till they bury me. I be one West to the death till they bury me. I'm one West till they bury me.
All right. Shalom, Israel. You live with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Priest and Captain Soccer will hold down the class live from Memphis, Tennessee. Every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we have classes here in Memphis from 6 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Since 1969, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge has been teaching so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians the truth according to the Bible. What is the truth? The truth is that so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians descend from the greatest people that have ever walked the face of the earth. The Bible identifies us as the lost 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. And in the year 2025, there's nothing more important than for God's chosen people to learn the truth of who we are, where we come from, and what our purpose is on the earth. So what we like to do with these classes is give brothers and sisters the opportunity to go into this book called the Bible, to gain the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that the Most High has put inside of this book so that we could come back to being the people that he called us to be and reclaim our righteous place on the earth as kings, priests, princesses, and daughters of Zion. With that being said, what we like to do is start the class off with questions. If there's any questions online, all you have to do is type them in. When there's students in the classroom, if you have any questions in class, all you have to do is raise your hand. All right. And so if there are no questions, we're going to get into the topic of tonight's class. What you see on the screen is a respecter of righteousness. You understand? A respecter of righteousness. And as we get into the class, I'll talk about, the inspiration for the topic and where it comes from, and then we'll get into the scriptures. All right. So if there's any questions, again, type them in online. Any questions in the classroom, raise your hand. All right, for you brothers and sisters tuning in, if you got family, loved ones, people you care about in the Memphis, Tennessee, and surrounding areas, get them in contact with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. If you're not in the Memphis, Tennessee, and surrounding areas, there's an ISUPK school that is near you. If you're looking for the ISUPK near you, all you have to do is just contact us outside of the classroom and we'll let you know. You understand? If you look on the screen in the top right corner, there's a barcode there that says ISUPK Memphis chat. That chat is available for brothers and sisters that want to reach out to the school. It's almost like it connects to WhatsApp. We have a WhatsApp chat where we post local news stories and have discussions and forums about things that are going on in and around the city. So if you would like to connect with the ISUPK Memphis chat, you can just scan that barcode in the top right corner of your screen and we can get to it. All right. So I don't see any questions. We're gonna go ahead and get right into tonight's topic, which is a respect of righteousness. All right, last night's class, which was concerning the Most High lifting up the skirt and exposing the wickedness of America. You know, everything that's going on with the Epstein files and the revelations that are being exposed about Donald Trump and Bill Clinton and all these other high-profile symbols of American elitism. The Lord is trying to, not trying, the Most High is using the truth to expose the evil and the wickedness that is existing in the highest seats of power and wealth and influence in this country. And last scripture we read yesterday was in the book of Ecclesiasticus, and Second Ezra, the fourth chapter in the Apocrypha. And we ended up the class talking about the truth and how powerful it is. You understand? And that power that the truth has extends to us as people living on the earth and dwelling in righteousness and obeying the Most High. When you live by the truth, when you live in the light, you understand? It, 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 trying to find the right words to phrase this, right? So in the Bible, the Most High gave the children of Israel his laws, statutes, and commandments. The purpose of God's law was for us to be able to judge right and wrong and to deal in matters of, right and wrong based on a standard that was set that could not be influenced by a person's status or a person's fame or a person's wealth. The Bible gave, in the laws that God gave the children of Israel, he told us that in judgment, do not be a respecter of persons. You understand? Meaning what? Don't let someone's position or place in society influence whether or not they're judged right or wrong based on something that they've done or in a litigation or a case that they may be involved in. Don't look at their status and don't look at what they've done for society and don't look at how famous and rich and wealthy they are, but just look at the action that they did and judge whether it was right or wrong based on these laws. When you're someone that lives according to God's law and you obey the Most High and you prove yourself to be someone that stands on righteousness and that speaks the truth and lives the truth to everyone else in the world, they become a respecter of righteousness. Meaning what? When they deal with you, when they judge you, when matters arise concerning you, because of you being righteous, because of you being someone that speaks the truth and stands in the truth, the people around you are compelled to honor your righteousness. You understand? And we're going to read some scriptures in the Bible today that shows you that the one thing that can override any oppression, any evil intent, any ill will that someone has towards you is the righteousness of God. We are living in a time in America right now where God's chosen people are being oppressed. You understand? There's ICE agents running around locking people up. You understand that the economy is failing and falling, and they're finding ways to, make it harder on people to get food and to pay their rent and to get car loans and all these things. It's being made more difficult to live in America. And at the core of all of these policies that's being passed by the government, they want you to leave America. They want you to not see this as a place where you can survive and live. They want you to go and flee to Africa. They want you to go and live in Europe. They want you to go down to the Caribbean or go to South America. Our oppressor would love nothing more than to see an exodus of Black and Hispanic people trying to leave America. You understand? And they don't really want us to leave, but they want us to live here and accept, the crumbs off of their table. They want us to live here and accept, being second class citizens. And there is a way for us to exist and live here and not have to flee. And there's a way for us to exist and live here and not subject ourselves to being second class citizens. And that only way that we can do that is if we serve the Lord and obey him. You understand? But all of this oppression, all of this tightening and the squeezing and the uncomfortability that's being made for us to feel in this place is designed to cause us to want to leave, designed to cause us to just give up, tuck our tails, and run. And that is not the way of the Lord. That is not the way of the righteous. You understand? So the weapon that we have against oppression in this place, in this time, is the righteousness of the Most High, keeping his law, statutes, and commandments. All right? So let's go ahead and get into the scriptures concerning that right now. All right. So let's see. Let's get this here. Let's get Proverbs chapter 16, verse 7. Let's get Proverbs chapter 16, verse 7. Uh-huh. All right, so we got Proverbs 16 and 7. Let's go ahead and read it. Also, for you brothers and sisters that's tuning in, if you're tuning in the class, if you would like to join in the class to be seen, to be heard, all you have to do is just let me know in the chat. I can send out a link that will enable you to be able to join in the class on the screen, to be seen, to be heard. If you want to ask questions, if you want to read scriptures. I know sometimes, doing these classes, I'm oftentimes by myself. So I end up being the one reading the scriptures and teaching the class. But for you brothers and sisters out there, I like to make the class interactive for you. I like it to, for you to feel like you in the room, even if you're not. And this online platforms that we have enables us to be able to invite brothers and sisters into the class on the screen to be seen and heard. So if that's something that you will be interested in, all you have to do is type in the chat, Cap, I want to join the class, and I'll be able to send that link out. All right. But this is Proverbs chapter 16, verse 7. And it reads, when a man's ways please the Lord, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him. You understand? When a man's ways please the Lord, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him. Everybody understands that? When you live a life that is pleasing to the Most High, guess what? The Lord will make even your enemies be at peace with you. The Lord will make it so that even your enemies have to respect you. And we are living in that time now. We're living in a time where if you stand with the Lord, if you obey him and live righteously and keep the law, statutes, and commandments, then even your enemies are going to be at peace with you. You ain't gotta, like right now, they opened the government back up, right? Open the government back up, and they, paying the federal workers, and they approve the SNAP benefits until next November or something like that. But here in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, we were ready to thrive in the midst of a government shutdown, because we understand that in a time where government was shut down and the SNAP benefits weren't working and there was no food stamps, that the Lord was going to provide for us the way he provided for the children of Israel in the wilderness. You understand? When the children of Israel left out of Egypt, I'm sure those Egyptians thought, man, them niggas gonna go in that desert and die. They gonna go in that wilderness, and ain't gonna be no food, ain't gonna be no drink, and surely they're gonna perish. When we were in the wilderness, the Lord made manna rain down from heaven to feed the children of Israel. You understand? When King David went on the run from Saul and was out there in the wilderness, and David's men had nothing to eat, when they came across the city where men were, where Israelites were, and the priests were there, David told the priest to let us eat the showbread that was meant to be only for the priests. And the Lord, guess what, provided that showbread for them. You understand? In the New Testament, Christ talked about how the birds don't have any worry for what they're going to eat or what they're going to, how they're going to house themselves, because the Lord provides for them. If He provide for the birds, how much more would He provide for you? And when you have the faith and the trust of righteousness in the Lord on your side, then guess what? You don't have to worry about the government shutting down. You don't have to worry about the food stamps getting cut off. The Lord was going to make sure He provided a way for us to eat. You understand? I heard a story. I had a personal story. Someone close to me that told me something I could not believe. Right, and when I heard it, I understood that is the righteousness of the Lord that can work in someone's life. You understand? I had someone recently tell me that they've been struggling with financially with the way things are going, haven't been able to really work and make the money they needed to make, and bills were getting tight, and they wasn't sure they paid the rent and had some food, but wasn't sure how they was going to pay the car note. This person I know is living on Section 8, right? So the way Section 8 works, the government pays half a certain amount of your rent, but then you still got to come up with a $600 or $700 to pay the rest of it. They said that they prayed and put it in the Lord's hands, make the Lord go make a way, and they got up the day after the car note was due and checked their email, and the landlord had sent them back the money they paid for their rent, saying in the message, "I know times are hard. I know people are going through things. I figured you might have needed this money, so here you go." So this person who's on Section 8 with the government paying some of their rent, the money they had to come up with out of their own pocket in cash, they paid it to the landlord. The landlord, seeing the government shut down, seeing the SNAP benefit being cut off, had sympathy and care, so much so that they sent back the rent money that came out of this woman's personal portion. And it's like, why would somebody do that? Who would even think? I'm a landlord. Somebody's living in my property, and I want my money on the first, like every landlord does. What would cause someone to say to themselves, "Well, damn, I know they on Section 8. Maybe they on food stamps too. Maybe they ain't been working. Maybe times is hard. You know what? I got this property. I'm getting this extra money every month. Let me go ahead and send them some money. Let me send them this money back because they might need it more than I do." That comes from what we read in here in Proverbs 16:7. You understand? That comes from when a man's ways please the Lord, even their enemies be at peace with them. And guess what? This landlord is not black. This, of course, the person I'm talking about is Israel, right? This woman on Section 8 who paying her bills and low on her income is the sister. But that landlord ain't Israelite. That landlord, I don't know what, I believe the landlord might be Amalek. You understand? Might be Esau. But the Lord moved with compassion and a heart on this enemy of our people to where they sent the money back so this sister could do what? Make sure she could pay her car note. Make sure she could take care of her bills. You understand? And that is what happens when someone is a respecter of righteousness. When you live a certain kind of way and when you handle your business a certain kind of way, you cause someone to admire you and to respect you for your dignity and for your honor and your integrity. And it'll cause them to be moved to do things that you would never imagine. You understand? Now, for that woman that was the Lord honoring her faith, honoring her, trusting in Him, and doing what she knows is right and living the right way. And the Lord will come through in ways that you couldn't imagine. To the next person, it might be, they might not see it as Lord moving. They might not see it as something that's spiritual. They might not see it as something worthy to be honored. But guess what? For that sister and for that person who came through, oh, it was something that was worthy of honor. You understand? Shalom, Lord Christ, Aquaf. How you doing, sis?
So up, sir? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, sis, and I can see you. Most high in Christ.
Gosh, no, sir.
All right. Cut. Did you have any questions?
No, sir, I did. Not to get off your topic. It was a question from yesterday about
Nah,
is
come on with
okay, sir, about suicide being unlawful in the scriptures.
Yeah, I didn't. I Salaki about that too. I didn't get back to that. So I did see the
That's a-
news story about the twin sisters. Right, one of them was sick and was close to dying, and the other one said, "Well, if she's going, I want to go with her." So they
right.
both decided to get an assisted death. Right.
Con.
Okay. So what was your question on that?
So I'm reading the comments, and the comments is like, oh, this should be basically a thing because it's not here. It was out of the country in
Mhm.
Germany or something. And they felt like people should be able to decide when they want to go. Like I don't and then that was a lot of the comments. People should feel like, they should be able to pick and choose when they want to go, how to go. And then some of the comments like
Mhm.
they were like, God don't I don't see how God would be mad at this, like, and stuff like that. So I was like, and I know, I know it's unlawful. I just want to know, just some scriptures about it.
Okay. So let me see something. Let me show you scriptures. So you want some scriptures on it being unlawful to unalive yourself, right?
Sir.
Uh, bear with me. Well, of course, that that incidents, right? Where
Hmm.
those two women did that, that is something that is a heathen practice, right? It's a heathen practice where someone you love and you care about dies, you go with them, right? And this goes all the way back to the Egyptians, and this goes to Chinese culture. There are many ancient cultures where if a master who, some rich, prominent person owned a lot of land and had a lot of wealth, they passed away, guess what? All their possessions passed away with them. They wouldn't take all their possessions to the underworld. You understand? I know the Egyptians when they would put them pharaohs in them tombs, the dog would go in the tomb, the wife would go in the tomb, and different possessions would go and get buried with them. I know there was a famous Chinese cat. He died and got buried. He get buried with like 3,000 of his servants. They made statues of the man, statues of 3,000 of his servants, his dog, his wife. When he died, everybody had to die with him. And they had the belief that whatever you left this world with, it would meet you and travel with you in the underworld. So that's a very old pagan belief that, death is not the end. You just transcend to another plane, and everything that you leave here with, you take with you. So it's not an unusual thing for them in their cultures that, like, again, those were twin sisters. One of them was dying, the other one said, well, we came in this world together, we're gonna leave together. So for them, it's a mercy, it's honorable to them to both go together. Same thing would be with an old man and an old woman that was married and been together forever. She passing away, he don't want her to leave him, he gonna go with her. You understand? So that's an old practice that heathens have been doing for years. But let's go ahead and get what the scripture says concerning someone unaliving themselves. Well, of course we know. Let's go to Exodus chapter 20, verse 13. All
Sir.
right.
Sir.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's get Exodus chapter 20, verse 13. Says you can read it.
Sir. Exodus 20 and 13. Thou shalt not kill.
Thou shalt not kill. You understand? What is it?
Con.
What is killing? Killing is it's unaliving someone not in self defense, right? Killing is not, fighting something. Someone gets unalived in the middle of a battle or warfare. Killing is not someone being unalived while you defending yourself. Killing is what we would call today premeditated murder, first degree, second degree murder, right?
Mhm.
Suicide falls in that category. You know what I'm saying? Unaliving yourself falls in the category of killing someone, killing yourself. That's unlawful. You understand?
Constantly.
Um, let's get oh no. Bear with me, hold on. Let's get 2 Samuel 17 and 23. 2 Samuel 17 and 23 is an example of a brother who unalived himself, and it was counted as a dishonor. You understand? Counted as
Con.
a dishonor. 2 Samuel chapter 17, verse 23.
Con.
I'll read it, all right, for time's sake. It says, and when Ahithophel saw that his counsel was not followed, he saddled his ass and arose and got him home to his house, to his city, and put his household in order, and hanged himself and died, and
Mm,
was buried in the sepulchre of his father. You understand?
mm, con.
This brother unalived himself. When got his household in order, made sure the family was straight, then he hanged himself. You understand? That was a dishonorable thing that brother
Con.
did because of what he saw as being a failure. You understand? So these are
Mm,
things that are not unusual. These are things that have been around as long as men and women have been on the earth. You understand? People wanting, for whatever reason, to unalive themselves. Why would these twin sisters want to leave the earth together? Because the thought of having to continue on after one left is unbearable. It's a sadness and the grief of losing someone that some people just cannot handle. And so, because she did not want to see her sister leave and have to try to live and go on without her, she said, I want to go with you. And what that does is that taking the power of life and death into your own hands. And it's not in our hands to determine life and death. You understand? That is in the Lord's hands. And so you assume the role and the position of God when you decide that you want to unalive someone, or when you decide that you want to unalive yourself. And really, it is a trick of our adversary, the devil, and or Satan, that would cause someone to do such a thing. You understand? Let me
awesome.
get another example of that. Let's get I don't know. Bear with me. Get Job chapter 1, verse 21. And there's a scripture here that shows you that the power over life and death is not in our hands, it's in the Lord's hands. You understand? All right, this is Job chapter 1, verse 21. And it says, well, I'll say this. I'll just go start at verse 20, all right? Job chapter 1 and 20 says, then Job arose and rent his mantle and shaved his head and fell down upon the ground and worshiped and said, naked I came out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And all this Job sinned not, nor charged God foolishly. You understand me? And what? This is after Job lost all his children, lost all his possessions, lost all the things that were important to him. Guess what Job said? Man, I came in this world naked. I'm going to leave this world the same way. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Meaning Job acknowledged that the power over life and death was in the Lord's hands. You understand? The Lord gave me life, and when my life is over, it'll be the Lord that take it away. The Lord gave me these kids and gave me this wealth, and now these kids are gone and that wealth is gone. The Lord decided to take it away. Job did not foolishly charge God. You understand? And sometimes in life, especially when it comes to grief, that is a thing that a lot of people do not know how to handle, do not know how to wrap their minds around it. But it's important that when you go through grief, when you're suffering the loss of someone that you love, that you don't foolishly charge God. You understand? There is a season and a purpose for everything that we go through, and the grief over losing someone you love is there's a purpose in it. But you cannot allow yourself to be consumed by it and to be lost in it and to convince yourself that it would be better that you would take your own life and leave this earth rather than seeking the lesson that the Lord is trying for you to learn through that loss. You understand, sis?
I do, the water, I appreciate it.
I ain't about no sweat. Any other questions?
Sorry, that was off right now.
All right, most high Christ. I'm gonna put you back. You're gonna stay on the screen. Just mute your phone. If again, if you want to chime in with anything, you can do that. All right.
Sorry, the water.
All right, no sweat, no sweat. Again, any other brothers and sisters, man, y'all want to jump in the class, you want to be able to, you know what I'm saying, ask questions or read scriptures or anything, all you do is just, I put the link out there for y'all to join in. If you need the link reposted, all you do is just say, Cap, I would like to join the class, and I can add you in, all right? All right, so we read earlier Proverbs chapter 16, verse 7, where it says that if a man's ways please the Lord, he would make even his enemies to be at peace with him. You understand? And we are living in a time where we are going to have to stand strong and firm in the ways of the Lord. Right now, you're seeing an amazing thing take place in this country where a lot of our people, because of the fear they have of the oppressor, because of the fear that they have of, ruffling the feathers of our oppressor the wrong way, they are beginning to capitulate and beginning to tuck their tail and give the oppressor what they think they want. I watched the fake Israelite group last week go from being, rejects of the ISUPK and falling out of the ISUPK and being perpetrators of, what it is that we teach. They tucked their tail and went and said that God loves everybody and Jesus died for everybody, and now everybody could come and join the truth and be Israelites spiritually and serve the Lord. And when you see things like that happening, you have to know that selling out is so that they can gain favor with the oppressor. There's a lot of our people that lack faith in the Most High. They don't know how to trust in the Lord. Why? Because they aren't living righteously. They aren't in the truth. They aren't dwelling in the light. And so for them, the things that we believe in, that we know to be true, it's impossible for them to comprehend it because they have not made the sacrifices that we have made in obeying the Lord. They have not done the things that we've done in overcoming our wickedness and putting our sins behind us and being able to truly stand with the Lord. And so because of that, when difficulty arises, when there's hardships, guess what? They tuck their tail and they run. They tuck their tail and they go and yes, master, and yes, boss, and whatever you say, sir, and yes, God loves everybody because that is what they believe is going to gain them favor. What actually gains you favor with your oppressor is righteous resistance. You understand? You look at, for anyone that works in the corporate world, right? Or you work out in the society where you deal with the oppressor on the daily. Our oppressor really respects someone who stands for who they are. You understand? Who embraces their culture. I'll give you a small example. Some of you brothers and sisters out there, you came into the truth, you began to wear your Dawadah, Shield of David, right? If you wear that Shield of David, you there's something in your mind that says, I wear this, it might cause some trouble. I wear this, somebody might be offended. You wear that Shield of David, and inevitably somebody at your job or somebody where you work, they'll notice it. They'll say, "Oh, I see you have the Star of David on. Are you Jewish?" And you tell them, "No, I'm not Jewish. I'm an Israelite." You may think that that's going to cause controversy or cause problems, but what it actually does is it makes those people respect you for embracing your culture and not being afraid to stand on what you believe in. I remember when I first came in the truth, man, I stopped celebrating Christmas and Thanksgiving and these holidays. I just knew it was going to be a problem at the slavery. When I told them I didn't celebrate Christmas and I wasn't going to do no secret Santa, no goofy nonsense like that. When they come with that in holiday times and we don't do no secret Santa and I don't do no Christmas, they be like, "Oh, okay, well, you don't mind if I ask you why?" And you say, "Well, I follow the laws of the Bible, man. God gave us holidays in the Bible, and Christmas ain't one of them." it makes those people respect you. Like they look at you and they'll respect you so much that you won't have to explain yourself to nobody else in that office again. You tell one person in that office, I don't celebrate Christmas because I believe in the Bible. Guess what? You won't be included in Secret Santa, and it won't be like, oh, what's wrong with him? Why? It'll be like somebody else will say, nah, man, he doesn't believe in that. He doesn't worship, he don't celebrate those holidays. And it's almost like people respect when you stand on what you believe in. You understand? I remember being, and I say that to say, I remember, years ago, it used to be a thing where you had to be professional in how you presented yourself at work, how you wore your hair, and how you dressed. You had to be a certain kind of way. I remember, and there was a time in my youth when I used to be down at the courthouses in Washington, D.C. a lot. And you would go down to those courthouses and you would see Jewish men down there with the big scraggly beards, with their little hat on their head. And you might see an East Indian cat with a big turban on his head and with his little East Indian clothes on. And it would be like, these cats work downtown and people in suits and ties all day, but they still embrace their culture. And they are respected for embracing their culture. This is in America. The tradition is you're supposed to take your hat off when you enter a building. Take your hat off when you go into certain establishments. Guess what? That East Indian man does not have to take his turban off when he go into that place. You understand? That Jewish man does not have to take off that little hat on his head when he goes into that establishment. And I remember when I was in the truth down there in Philadelphia, we went and fought a court case against Liberty Place. They was mad that we was coming out there teaching. They tried to stop us from teaching outside. Boy, used to bring bands and cheerleaders and all types of stuff. The DJ out there stop us from talking about how the white man was the devil. And I remember going to court. We went to court with shields on and fringes and boots and headpieces. And we were treated with honor and respect in that building. When that court case, they tried to play videos of the cam. The brother was out there getting boot kisses. White man, the devil, and God going to punish them when they come back. They just knew that by playing videos of us teaching, that the courthouse was going to be, oh my God, these black people out there speaking. That judge said what they're saying is right. And they are well within their rights in the Constitution to be able to speak and say the white man is the devil. And in that courtroom, it was like but they had to respect that the righteousness of what we were saying and what we were doing. You understand? And our oppressor, they will not acknowledge it. They might not admit it, but they respect when you stand on what you believe in. They respect when you won't bow to them and won't capitulate and won't fold and won't, curb what you're saying. It's like they honor. They are respecters of righteousness. You watch Captain Tazariak when he go on these platforms and go on these shows and he do interviews and he's in spaces and in rooms with people who know what we teach and know what we say. Captain Tazariak goes in that space and gets respect, Doc. He go in them spaces and them people be like, oh yeah, Mr. Israelite man, they get the boot kisses and they laugh and joke and ha and smile. Why? Because they are respecters of righteousness. Everybody understands. So let me drop that. We got on a man's ways, please the Lord, make even his enemies to be at peace with him. Give me hold up. Bear with me. Let's get Exodus chapter 23, verse 22. Let's get Exodus chapter 23, verse 22. All right. Hold on. All right. Exodus chapter 23, verse 22. All right, this is Exodus chapter 23, verse 22. And it says, but But if thou indeed obey his voice and do all that I speak, then I will be an enemy unto thine enemies and an adversary unto thine adversaries. Everybody understands? We are living in a time now where we don't have to go out and battle our oppressors. We don't have to go out and, shut them down and protest and beg them to open up the government. All we have to do is obey the voice of the Lord, do what the Lord said to do. And guess what? The Most High will be an enemy to our enemies. The Most High will be an adversary to our adversaries. And who can fight against the Most High? Who can stand toe to toe with him? Nobody. Right now, our oppressor is a bully in the earth. He got all the weapons and all the bombs and the tanks and all of the economic power. Guess what? There's a power that's stronger than him, and that's the power of the Lord. How do we get him to be destroyed? We got to join the Lord, stand with the Lord. Most High said that if we obeyed him and listened to his voice, then he would be an enemy to our enemies and be an adversary to our adversaries. You understand? And that makes the Most High a respecter of righteousness. When you are righteous and your ways please the Lord, then anybody that tries to fight against you, the Lord will fight against them. You understand? Let's get Isaiah 54:17. Let's get Isaiah chapter 54, verse 17. The Lord is a respecter of righteousness. You understand? When you are righteous and when you stand with the Lord, then the Lord is going to protect you. The Lord is going to fight on your behalf. The Lord is going to intervene in situations and circumstances where someone who is not obedient or righteous would be devoured. Everybody understands? It's Isaiah 54:17. It says, no weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. You understand? Who is the thee? The thee is talking about the righteous. The thee is talking about those of us who obey the Lord and do what he said to do, who obey his voice and keep his commandments. You understand? No weapon formed against thee shall prosper. And every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. Every tongue that rises against you in judgment, you're going to condemn. How do we condemn everybody that speaks evil against us? Everybody that says something horrible about us because we obey the Lord and serve the truth. You know how many people are mad about the boot kisses that we get on the street? How many people are mad about us coming out on the street and teaching? How many people wish there was something they could be done to stop these niggas from standing on these corners saying the white man is the devil, yet they can't do nothing? Why is that? Let me ask you this: with what is going on in the world today that we're living in, do you think they're not trying to get us off the streets? Do you think they're not having meetings behind closed doors, talking about what we teach and talking about what we say? With all of the ways that the truth is spreading in the media and on the internet, do you think that we aren't on their radar? Nah, we on the radar. And they plotting and planning and coming up with things that they can do to stop us from being out there on the streets and teaching. But guess what? The truth is what condemns them. The words that we speak is what shows that they are the evil. They are the wicked. They are the devil the Bible speaks of. And we are the children of the light. We are the children of the Lord. And guess what? There's nothing you can do to stop what we're doing, because what we're doing is not of our own selves, it's of God. You cannot fight against God. Your arms aren't big enough, aren't long enough. You understand? You don't have the power or the wherewithal or the discipline, and you don't have truth and righteousness on your side. And that is why you are going to fail. That is why you are going to lose. And those of us that stand with the Lord are going to triumph and get the victory. Everybody understand? Continuing in Isaiah 54:17. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and their righteousness is of me, saith the Lord. Everybody understands? What is our heritage? Our heritage is that no weapon formed against us shall prosper. We cannot be destroyed. We cannot be stopped. We cannot be demoralized. We cannot be deterred from our mission. We cannot be stopped on the goal line because this thing that we're doing is not of ourselves, it's of the Lord. And when something is of the Lord, there ain't nothing that you could do about it. You understand? Let's get a scripture on that. When what you're doing is of the Lord, there is nothing that can be done about it. You understand? They said this same thing about our king, The work that Christ was doing, they said if this thing is of God, nothing is going to be able to stop it. You understand? Mhm. Did you have something, sis?
Lies, I'm listening.
Okay, no sweat. Most on Christ. Hold on. Let's get Acts chapter 5. Let's get Acts 5 and 34, starting at verse 34, all right? Acts chapter 5, we're going to start at verse 34. You understand? And again, all of this, all these scriptures are concerning those who are respecters of righteousness. You understand? The earth is a respecter of righteousness. All things that are, honorable and glorious in life are respecters of righteousness. Even from the worst evildoer, you understand, to the most wise of all the wise on the earth, they are all respecters of righteousness because righteousness dwells in the truth. And like we read yesterday, truth is the greatest force that exists on the earth. Everybody understand? So this is Acts chapter 5, verse, I'll start at verse 33. It says, when they heard that, they were cut to the heart and took counsel to slay them. Then stood there up one in the council, a Pharisee named Gamaliel, a doctor of the law, had in reputation among all the people, and commanded to put the apostles forth a little space. So this brother was powerful, had a lot of influence, and he heard what was said, and he said, "Man, hold on, y'all, we got to talk about this." He put the disciples in put them away from where they were, so they could discuss their fate, so they could have a council concerning what to do with these radical revolutionaries that was teaching about some man who came from God and was the king of Israel and was because he arrived and came and taught us, now we were free from sin and we could come back to God, right? A lot of what Christ taught challenged the authority of the Pharisees and Sadducees, the same way that what we teach today challenges the authority of the Christian church, the same way that what we teach today challenges the authority of our oppressor. And so these brothers, being a part of the system, being a part of the oppression, they didn't want to understand this movement or to let these words be said against their authority. But Gamaliel said, "Hold on, y'all. Let's talk about this. Let's discuss see what this wise, powerful, influential man had to say about Christ's disciples." This is Acts 5 and 33, and he's 35, and he said unto them, "Ye men of Israel, take heed to yourselves what ye intend to do as touching these men. For before these days rose up Theudas, boasting himself to be somebody, to whom a number of men, about 400, joined themselves, who was slain, and all as many as obeyed him were scattered and brought to naught, brought to nothing." So guess what? He said, "Man, remember that Theudas cat? He had a following, 400 men. He died, and everybody that followed him got scattered, and his movement meant nothing." Verse 37, after this man rose up Judas of Galilee in the days of the taxing, and drew away much people after him. He also perished, and all, even as many as obeyed him, were dispersed. You understand? Now, what are we learning from what Gamaliel is saying now? What was consistent during the time of Jesus Christ on the earth? What was happening often that wasn't a surprise during the days that Christ walked the earth? Since you want to give it a shot? So like one more time. I can't hear if you talking, sis. I can't hear you. It's like it's garbled a little bit. Say something now. I can see you clearly. Just say something. I can hear you, but it's some interference. Don't worry about it. I can't hear you though. I can see you clearly, but I can't hear you.
Oh, Salakia.
Yeah, come.
I don't know what's going on.
All right, now I can hear you now. Go ahead. Did you have an answer?
Okay, you said what was happening in the days when he was walking?
In the days when Christ was on the earth, this brother Gamaliel is bringing up these uprisings, right? He talked about the Judas cat of Galilee. He talked about this Theudas. What can we learn from what he's saying about these uprisings that was common during that time?
Salaki, sir.
No sweat. Salaki, I can't hear you, Kapatazar. Just don't worry about it. Just stand down. I'm a for time's sake get an answer. If anybody else got an answer in the chat, let me know. From what Gamaliel is saying. He said, remember what the Theudas cat that had 400 men that rose up with him? He died, and that shit it turned to nothing. Then the Judas of Galilee rose up, man. He had a huge following, and he died, and his movement turned to nothing. You understand? What we can tell is that these men lived in a time of great oppression, and there were constantly movements rising to try and overthrow the government. They lived in a very revolutionary time, which is very much like the time we're living in today. Or if you want to go back 60 years ago, imagine Black America. Imagine living, and it's the same way today, right? I remember being young and wondering what it was like to be in the '60s, where you had the Black Panthers with the Black Panthers with Huey P. Newton and all these cats, Bobby Hutton and Huey P. Newton, and they got guns on the steps in San Francisco. Then you got these Muslims in Chicago and these Muslims in Philadelphia talking about Allah Akbar and following the Quran and dressing in suits and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And then you had Christians with the Martin Luther King Jr. and the marching and protesting. All of those were uprisings. All of those were different divisions and factions of Black people saying we had enough of these white people ruling over us. We got to fight back. And guess what? All of those movements came to nothing. All of those leaders and all them revolutions, they died. And all their movements came to nothing. It's the same way during the days of Christ. But you think about the oppression that Black people were under during the 50s and the 60s, being hung from trees, being denied jobs, being denied access to schools and things like that. The anger and the frustration that we experienced was due to the inequality that we were suffering, was due to the horrible treatment. Well, guess what? It was the same way during the days of Christ. You had a bunch of movements springing up. You understand? What else? Other movements do we know were taking place during this time? We know about the movement of John the Baptist. John the Baptist had a movement going out there dunking people in the Jordan River. John the Baptist had a huge following. Guess what? They cut John the Baptist's head off because some stripper wanted John the Baptist's head for a birthday present. They cut John the Baptist's head off. Who else was in that time? Christ was active at that time with his following and his men. And so Gamaliel is reminding these brothers of all these other movements that have failed. And he's saying these men might be the same way. Go ahead, Kapatas. You was going to say something?
Salaki, sir, wasn't it some to men who tried to say they came just like after Christ when Paul then went to a city and the guy, it was somebody who was like, oh, we know in Christ we know, but we don't know y'all, and they got whooped.
Come.
Wasn't that you say them too?
There was cats that tried to go out teaching after Christ died. They tried to do what the disciples was doing, tried to do what Paul was doing. And that's Acts the 19th chapter. The damn demon said, I know Paul and I know Jesus, but I don't know you niggas, and whooped them butt naked. He had beat butt naked because they were trying to cast out demons. The time of Christ was a very revolutionary time. The time we're living in now is a very revolutionary time. Now, being in the truth, we may not see all the other revolutions that's taking place, but there's black conservatives that's fighting to be a part of MAGA and fighting to be a part of the America First movement. There's black Democrats that's fighting to be a part of the new Gen Z, government movement, where young black people gonna be a part of the government and get farming subsidies. We're still in the same time like we were in the 60s. There's young black preachers raising up. That 1921 church. Some young black conservative preacher talking about that Jesus wasn't black and God loves everybody of all colors, and he's saying that. You got the LGBTQ churches that say God love everybody. That we're still living in a very revolutionary time. But a lot of these revolutions, men die and their movements come to nothing. Charlie Kirk got unalive. Guess what? His TPUSA movement is falling apart. Well, Gamaliel is reminding these men of the other revolutionaries that rose up and their movements came to nothing. But let's keep reading. Acts chapter 5, verse 38. And now I say unto you, refrain from these men and let them alone. For if this counsel or this work be of men, it will come to naught. And what they doing is of men, it's going to fall apart like the mother movements fell apart. But if it be of God, ye cannot overthrow it, lest haply ye be found even to fight against God. And that right there is what keeps these oppressors from bothering us. It's what stops them from being able to exert their authority over us. It's what causes them to say, listen, if what these men are doing are of God, then there's nothing that we can do about it anyway. We got to let these Israelites have their way. Let them go out there on that street and teach. Let them go out there and speak whatever they want to speak. Let them say what they want to say. If it's of man, it'll come to nothing. If it be of God, we can't overthrow it anyway. That is someone being a respecter of righteousness. That is someone that is looking at your actions and seeing what you're doing and saying, listen, I don't know what the hell it is, but if it's of God, there's nothing we can do about it. But if it's of man, it'll fall apart. And that's what's happening to all the fake Israelite groups out there. Because their movements are of man, it's falling apart. There's scandals and lies. They're changing their doctrines, changing their beliefs. You understand? Becoming Christian church organizations, getting taken over by white people because they never were with the Lord. But the truth in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge could never be changed, could never be toppled, could never be, influenced by anyone because it comes of the Lord. All right, let's keep reading. Verse 40. And to him they agreed. And when they had called the apostles and beaten them, they commanded that they should not speak in the name of Jesus and let them go. And they departed from the presence of the council, rejoicing that they were counted worthy to suffer shame for his name. And daily in the temple and in every house they ceased not to teach and to preach Jesus Christ. You understand? The disciples understood that if this thing that we're doing, because it is of the Lord, no one can stop us. Nothing can be done to deter us from this mission, because this mission that we on came from God. This mission that we on, the Lord put us on this path. You understand? And when you stand with the Lord, like the scripture said, he will make even your enemies to be at peace with you. When you stand with the Lord, he will be an adversary to your adversaries. When you stand with the Lord, no weapon formed against you can prosper. And the heritage of the servants of God and those that dwell in righteousness, and that is the heritage of those who serve the Lord and that dwell in righteousness, is that nothing can be done. Nothing can be taken from the work that you do when that work comes from the Most High. You understand? And let me get Christ in the New Testament, what Christ said. All right. Let's get Luke chapter 17. All right, hold on. Bear with me. Hold on. All right, this is important. Let me read this. Lord allow be able to break it down in a way we can understand. All right. This is Luke chapter 17, verse 5. Now, this is very much meat. This is not
Mm.
something that is meant to be easily understood. All right. This is not something that's meant to be easily understood. And I'm going to go ahead and go into it. All right. I'll break it down anyway. It's Luke chapter 17, verse 5. All right. And as we read this, understand that the question that was asked of Christ in this by the disciples was to increase our faith. They wanted Christ to increase their faith, give them more faith, right? Give them, okay. Understand that asking for your faith to be increased is like asking, trying to find a way to describe it. So, this work that we do, serving the Lord, right? You don't get a pat on the back for obeying God. You don't get a, well done or good job, because obeying God is what is expected of you. It is literally what is required of all of us. God requires us to obey him. God requires us to do what he said to do. And so the great things that come from obeying God are normal rewards, right? For the earth to be a respecter of righteousness, it's what it's supposed. That's how it's supposed to be. Like that story, I'm trying to find a way to describe it. So we're in the truth, right? In 2025, we obeying God, and all of us who have sincerely given our lives to the Lord and are obeying Him have amazing stories of triumph and overcoming difficult situations, and of God doing things in our lives miraculously that the average person wouldn't really understand. We understand it because we know that these things are the result of us obeying God. Also, to someone who is righteous, it's not even special because it's just regular life. If you obey God, this is how your life is supposed to be. We recognize it as miraculous because we know so many people who are not obeying God. So we know so many people who are suffering horrible things and bad stuff is happening to them, and we look at it like, damn, man, that's messed up. Those things don't happen to us because we obey God, and we look at it like, yes, we're blessed and God is with us. But if we lived in a righteous society, the things that happen to us as a result of us obeying God would not be miraculous. It would just be normal stuff. Like, that's what you're supposed to happen. It's supposed to work out that way because you're obeying God. But because we live in an evil society, things working out the way that they work out for us is like, oh man, this is amazing. The Lord is with me. Let me make sure I keep doing what I've been doing. But to someone who was righteous, it's just regular life. So for these disciples to ask Christ to increase their faith, Christ is not impressed. Christ is like, man, y'all so weak. I wish y'all were stronger. And the way that he teaches them how to increase their faith is by letting them know that what you're doing is not special. I hope I made sense of that as we go to break down Luke 17 and 5. All right. It's Luke chapter 17, verse 5. And it says, and the apostle said unto the Lord, increase our faith. So this is their request to Christ is increase our faith. Give us more faith. Strengthen our faith. Verse 6. And the Lord said, if you had faith as a grain of mustard seed, ye might say unto this sycamore tree, be thou plucked up by the roots, and be thou planted in the sea, and it should obey you. Christ's response to them saying, increase our faith, was to say to them, if you had a little bit of faith, the faith the size of a mustard seed, you might say to this sycamore tree, what is a sycamore tree? A big, thick tree. You might say to the sycamore tree, get up out of your, get your roots out of the ground and go plant yourself in the sea, and the tree would obey you. Now, how unbelievably crazy is it to say to a tree, move out that dirt tree and go plant yourself in the ocean? That sounds insane, right? It sounds crazy to say that to a tree. But guess what? Somebody that has the faith the size of a mustard seed could command the forces of nature and tell a tree, hey, get out the ground and go plant yourself in the sea. That is the power that comes from obeying God. That is the power that comes from the righteousness of God. There is a level of righteousness that we can attain where we know that when we speak to the elements, they obey our command. Christ walked on water, told the storm to calm down, and the storm stopped because Christ had faith. They asking Christ, increase our faith, and he says to them, man, if y'all niggas had a little bit of faith, you could talk to the trees and the trees would obey your commands. Now, it sounds crazy to us because we have no faith, because we live in an evil place, in an evil society where we could not imagine commanding nature. But where Christ, the level Christ was on, commanding nature was nothing. Commanding nature is the basics when you're righteous. Y'all impressed because I could tell a tree to go plant itself in the ocean? That's not even a big deal, huh? Keep reading. Verse 7. But which of you, having a servant plowing or feeding cattle, will say unto him, by and by, when he come in from the field, go and sit down to meat? Now, understand this. This is a metaphor related to them asking for more faith. Christ said, which of you, having a servant, would say to him when he come in from the field, by and by, go sit and have lunch? Meaning, hey man, that's enough work you did today. You had a long day. Go get you something to eat. A man who imagine being a boss and you got an employee and half the shift is done. You tell them, hey man, you did a lot of work today. Go ahead and take the rest of the day off. That doesn't happen in this place. It doesn't happen in this society. It doesn't happen in the commercial world that we live in, because so much of this world we live in is about getting the most out of someone to improve and increase your bottom line. What would cause a boss to see his servant working hard through half the shift, see him coming from out in the field and say, hey, listen, you done did a lot of work today. I know you got 4 more hours left in your shift, but go ahead and get you something to eat, man. Take the rest of the day off, and I'm going to pay you. What would it take for a boss to do that? What kind of man would the boss have to be? What kind of, morals and life would they have to be living in order to treat their workers that way? That's the point that Christ is making. You understand? Christ is saying, which of you having a servant would see him come in from the field and say, by and by, meaning, hey, look, man, you did enough, huh? Go ahead, take the rest of the day off, get you something to eat, and you still get paid. Verse 8, and will not rather say unto him, make ready wherewith I may sup, and gird thyself, and serve me till I have eaten and drunken, and afterward thou shalt eat and drink. Meaning, you don't tell the servant, all right, your work is done today, man. Go ahead and get you something to eat out. Take a load off for the rest of the day. No. That servant coming from the field and you say, hey, prepare my lunch. I'm ready to eat. Prepare the food, bring me the food and drink, make sure I'm taken care of. And then after the master finishes eating, then you tell the servant you can go ahead and eat and drink. That's the way that it works, right? The way that it happens in this society is the servant does what the hell they told to do. They do their damn job. You understand? That's the expectation. Reading on. Verse 9. Does he thank that servant because he did the things that were commanded him? I trow not. Meaning no. The servant, somebody come in and work their shift. That's what they expected to do. You don't get celebrated for showing up for work on time. They don't throw you a party because you work your 8 hours and go home. They don't celebrate you because you do what your job description tells you to do. Well, guess what? It's the same way for us with righteousness and serving the Lord. The things that we are doing are what's expected of us. It's the bare minimum. Teaching these classes, going out on the street and teaching, not having sex with whores, not celebrating holidays. You don't get no pat on the back for that. Nigga, that's what you're supposed to do. You don't get celebrated for doing that. That's what you're supposed to do. There is no celebration for doing the bare minimum. There is no acknowledgement for doing the bare minimum. You understand? So, what is the message that Christ is sending to his disciples? Let's read on verse 10. So likewise, ye, when ye shall have done all those things which are commanded you, say, we are unprofitable servants. We have done that which was our duty to do. Don't expect that God is going to do something super amazing in your life. The things that happen in your life as a result of you obeying the Lord is regular and normal. It's how it's supposed to be. You obey the Lord and serve him, you're supposed to not be oppressed. You obey the Lord and serve him, your enemies are supposed to be at peace with you. You obey the Lord and serve him, no weapon formed against you is supposed to prosper. That's the bare minimum. That's not anything special happening to you. You want something special to happen to you, you got to go above and beyond the commandments of God. You got to go above and beyond the bare minimum that is expected of you. And that is the next level of faith or next level of righteousness that grants you access to commanding nature. Grant you access to healing the sick and raising the dead and casting out demons. It goes beyond just doing the bare minimum. Right now, a lot of us we're just achieving the bare minimum. But there's some of us who want to take it to that next level, that understand what it is required to go to that next level. And those are the brothers and the sisters who the earth is going to have to be respecters of your righteousness. You understand? There is a level that exceeds the one that we are arriving at, where we are doing the bare minimum. We're just doing what's required of us. There is a level beyond doing what's required of you that goes above and beyond, and that is the level where you can command nature. That is the level where you can, cause the tree to uproot itself and go plant itself in the sea. And we're living in the days where that power And that faith is returning to the earth because the Lord is moving to show, moving so that everyone can see and respect those who are standing in righteousness. And with that, we the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge out of 1 West 125th Street in Harlem, New York. Since 1969, we've been teaching so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians the truth according to the Bible. What is the truth? The truth is that so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians descend from the greatest people that have ever walked the face of the earth. The Bible identifies us as the lost 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. In the year 2025, there's nothing more important than for God's chosen people to learn the truth of who we are, where we come from, and what our purpose is on the earth. You understand? If you got family, loved ones, people you care about in Memphis, Tennessee, and surrounding areas, get them in contact with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. We have classes again Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 6 to 8. There's a barcode, a QR code in the corner of the screen. If y'all want to join the chat on WhatsApp to be able to communicate with us, join up on there. Appreciate y'all for tuning in for class. If I could, I'm gonna give a shout out to Sister Kapatazar for coming through. Shalom, sis. Yahweh Shema, Tabashim Yahweh Shai.
Shalom, sir.
Most High Christ. All the other brothers and sisters for tuning in. I appreciate y'all. Preaching Captain Soccer War. I'll see y'all for class. Lord allow tomorrow. Shalom.
Shalom, sir.